Hi, welcome to Poplar Magazine, Poplar Views. My name's Tim Lowing. I'm the editor of Poplar Magazine, and this is a new little series I want to put together that helps our audience and our readers get to know the people that are participating in Poplar Magazine. But it doesn't stop there. I'm inviting anybody in Alberta that wants to come on this little show and tell us who they are. You might have a festival coming up, or maybe you got a restaurant or a shoe store. You're Albertan, you're awesome. You're on the show. So make sure you pop us a message so we can make that work for both of us. All right. Today is the first one. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Haeley Porter. Haeley has been a voice actor here in Alberta for 2 decades and has provided voiceover services that you've probably heard if you've been to places like Sobeys, when you all of a sudden hear someone on the air telling you what's on sale this week. So here we are. Haeley Porter, thank you so much for coming on today and participating and ultimately being the supporter that you've been to Poplar Magazine. I can't thank you enough from the start. So big time thanks for that. So Haeley, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, Tim, thanks for having me here. This is really exciting, and you're doing a great job on the magazine. Our whole family loves it.
I
it's
appreciate
beautiful. It's beautiful. It has to be beautiful in my books, for me to be really attracted to something. And about myself, I'm a voice actor. Most people don't really understand what that is. And so when people ask me what I do and I say voice actor, I usually get a bit of a glazed look. They're sort of trying to grab what that voice acting, what does that mean exactly? And so I take a quick minute to just explain to them, you usually hear me, but you don't see me. I'm an actor that is in your subconscious. It could be on a telephone system when you call in and get put on hold. It could be walking through a grocery store and you hear that there's a particular event or sale happening in that store. There's a lot of different applications. The first thing that people really identify with are television commercials and radio commercials. That's a huge area of voiceover, but it's a very diverse industry. It can range all the way into animation for cartoons, anime.
Wow.
I do not do that. That's not my area.
I bet you might like to try, though.
I don't know if they have a mom character, I would crush it. I would totally crush it. But when it comes to really, animated, unusual characters, not my area. I'll leave that up to the experts. There's so many talented people that do that work. But I do a lot of corporate work.
Okay.
That can be
like HR type stuff.
Yeah, training
video.
That's
training
right.
audio.
There's a lot of that type of work with companies. And it's been interesting to see that evolve over time, too, because people really learn better, we have found out, when it's more personable, when it's a video that's speaking directly to you. It's more authentic than just a training manual or click through.
I have to agree with that in the sense that, being that a lot of people may not know this, but I'm employed as a machinist in the energy sector here in Alberta, and we go through a lot of training videos and training things, and they're yearly, and in order for us to sort of maintain our certifications, we have to take that course again. So yes, I can agree with you that the voice is actually very important to our attention span.
That's right. And part of my job is to make it engaging and interesting and personable, because we just learn better that way. So I've done a lot of work in corporate narration and a lot of work in medical narration as well. So it really,
like in the waiting rooms, those kinds of vids are
doctors are very, very busy people, and so they need to learn new techniques and ideas as quickly as possible. And video is a great way for them to do that. So that will include a lot of animation, showing them how to do a particular procedure, how to use a new piece of equipment. And it will be my voice that will be overlaid over top of that animation, explaining very, very clearly exactly how this works. Wow. So I take great pride in what I do, because in those types of situations, I'm not selling something like I would be on the advertising. I am educating somebody. So it's imperative that I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're the subject matter expert for sure.
Exactly.
And I could see how you could be so strong and diverse at it. I mean, and for those of you watching, so Haeley and I kind of connected through the magazine, and I believe it was I want to say it was LinkedIn. Now that I'm not quite, I don't remember. It was either LinkedIn or Facebook or something. And we got in touch. And I had been kind of because I do all my own stuff. I do my own voiceovers. And you came along and we started talking, and you really added a dynamic to our first commercial that we ran for YouTube. So anybody out there watching, if you have any desires to have a strong professional voice added to, say, some graphic animation you've had built, you want to connect with Haeley. You want to make that happen. I can't. If you haven't seen the video, I'll share a link with this interview here so that people can check it out, and you can hear Haeley in action. And I mean, our video went from being a static sort of, it was moving animation. It was simple. But I really feel, and the commentary I'm receiving, and the reach that it helped us gain, like that commercial has almost 12,000 views. So something to think about for anybody out there that's wondering. And how do people do this? You get a hold of people like Haeley is what you do.
Well, that's very kind of you, Tim. And I mean, my lens is very, very narrow. I see through the lens of audio. That's right. I'm always listening, whether I go to see a movie, I'm driving in my car, listening to the radio. I mean, I'm very tuned into sound. So I appreciate that, my view is a bit narrow in scope. So coming from you, where you're looking at the whole project as a whole, that yes. means a lot to me, that, that audio component it's really, critical. It is.
It is so important.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you where I first kind of caught on to it, believe it or not, was when I was a kid. I used to watch Carson and Leno. And then but that's way back. And then Leno, pardon me. And then Letterman. Sorry, Leno and Letterman became the you know what. But I always said that there was something about Letterman besides him. I loved how he was as an interviewer, but it was the big sound. He sounded different. His studio sounded different. So I got to put you on the spot though. So how do I sound?
Oh, I think you sound fantastic.
Okay, good. Because I'm trying a new mic. It's a brand new mic. This is a maiden voyage. So it's a lot of courage here today. I was just I threw out the old, and I didn't throw it out because I don't throw anything out. Right. I'm from Winnipeg originally. So we save everything. And but I have this new mic, and I'm just excited as what about it. And so I was curious.
Here's a little tip for some of your listeners, because so many of us are now working from home. I have a home-based studio in Red Deer, and the mic, definitely important, but your room where you're recording is probably more important. I can see a lot of items behind you there. So you know what? I think you're getting some absorption of sound somehow, one way or another.
It's a magazine rack, if you must know. And I know the bokeh is looks great. My depth of field, but I've got magazines here, like Year in Review 1989 from the NHL. I've got this is one of my pride and joys. This is a magazine of my grandfather's. This is a National Geographic that was his when he was young. And all kinds of hot rod magazines. I'm a car guy at heart, thus when we can. And so, yeah, my partner here and Deanna has pointed out, she's like, your background, it's too much. And I'm like, but I like it.
I love your background.
Well, thank you. I don't get a lot of that, so I'll take it.
I'm listening to your background rather than viewing it. So I'm listening to your background. So, good. For our listeners here, they will have noticed that when you turned away and reached down, the sound completely changed.
Okay.
Compared to when you were straight on the mic.
Sure.
And so we were hearing more ambient room tone as I could hear a little bit of bouncing off the wall. And then as soon as you came back, it was much more directional into the microphone.
All right.
These are just things that are very interesting to know. So if you're doing a lot of meetings, if you are creating any content, whatever that may be, learning how to use a microphone, having it in the space properly, that it's not, you don't want to be at your kitchen table. Kitchens are usually the worst. They're
Yes,
so
hollow.
echoey. Yeah, but people
hollow,
do.
yeah. And it's funny you should say that, because that's where I test my audio. Because
Okay.
if you can make it sound good there, you can make, my rule is that, and listen, I'm in no way an audio guy. I'm learning as I go here. I'm getting a little better every day, but I definitely try out mics and I'm going to try this and this level, and I'm going to do it here, because if I can get it to sound good here, I can do it anywhere. So it's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. Well,
let's talk about the business of voiceover for a moment, because that's important stuff, and that's sort of what I want Poplar Views to be about, because I want people that, like yourself and anyone else that's thinking about coming aboard Poplar Magazine with their business. This is an important piece. How do people get a hold of you? Because I think sometimes, I'm going to throw this out there, because I think this is really maybe true, that maybe smaller businesses or smaller production houses might be intimidated, because I mean, you've worked with some big companies, and you've government, and like it's in the medical, like, so small guys like myself, I call myself a boutique media company. So I have to say, I was a bit flattered when someone like yourself, with your stature and in the business, to come to me and say, I work with everybody. And I just thought that was so pro. And it really changed things a bit from even myself, someone who is very forward and outward about what they're after. So there are people out there that might not think that they should. And I think that might be a little crazy on their part. Like, you're available to work for all sizes of projects.
Absolutely. And
how do people get a hold of you? Sorry.
So, I appreciate that. HaeleyPorter.com is my website. Right, 2 E's in Haeley. There's many spellings of Haeley, as we know. But I'm glad you bring that up, because I consider myself an Alberta small business, and I'm really proud of that too. I have been. Me too. Congratulations. Alberta, I just think I get really excited when I talk about Alberta, because the people here are so industrious. We can turn on a dime. We're always trying to make things better. That is the Alberta spirit. And I've been involved in small business all my adult life. I owned a bridal shop from the age of about 20. And yes, and my husband was a florist, flower shop for 35 years. Wow. All we've ever done is small business. My son is just launching his own company. Yes. My daughter, we set her up with her own limited company this fall. It's just in our blood, in our family. But we're really proud of it, and we're really proud to be Alberta based. But telling you all of this is to say that I understand small business. And yes, I do projects for on-hold phone systems for mom and pop operations that, they have a storefront, or, some kind of small business in the service industry. Those are just small jobs, yes, but they're really important jobs. You are asking me to be the voice of your company that you have put blood, sweat, and tears into. And I really, really appreciate that. And I understand that side of it too, that when we're looking at advertising, it seems like a big spend. It seems like, I don't know if I can do that. But one thing I can tell you, in all of the businesses that I have owned, it always seems like too much at the start. That ad spend always seems like, I don't know if we should be doing this, because it's a little bit hard to quantify how it's converting into income. Sure. But we are talking about the internet now. The analytics that we can get back on views, clicks, conversions. This is gold. Like, this is absolute gold now.
I fully agree with that.
Yes. And so things like Poplar Magazine, I mean, Tim, you have those analytics. You can give those numbers.
And they're huge. The numbers are bonkers, because we're also advertising with the investment that comes in.
Exactly.
So we are going out of our way to take, like, if someone comes in full page, that's going into advertising Poplar.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they're in the magazine. So our intention is to advertise the product as well. So we're not just
Mm.
taking ad dollars and then leaving it on the doorstep, so to speak.
Right. And so whenever it felt like too much to spend advertising, it always worked out.
It
It
always came back.
always ended up being a marvelous investment for whatever was happening within our businesses, whether it was seasonal, whether it was a special event.
Mm.
It always worked out. And the way I think about it, because I'm so dialed into all of the media that's happening, well, not all of it, there's so much of it, but I really pay attention. It's where are people's eyeballs? Television is really struggling, especially in certain age groups. Many of the people that hire me are more in that millennial category.
Isn't that interesting?
They don't like having too much to choose from. Like they make decisions very, very quickly. They're relationship oriented. That's like
what we want to be.
Authenticity, also very, very important. These are all trends that are happening within the market. And I'll give you an example, Tim. Yesterday, my son and I, who's launching his business, we decided to get out of our four walls and go sit in a Starbucks with our laptops.
Nice.
And just, go for a few hours and have a different environment. Every single table in this little Red Deer Starbucks had a laptop on it. Every single one.
People working.
Well, yes. And
people working.
That's right. So I, in my very casual way, made my way around the Starbucks to see what are people doing on their laptops. And
so you were creeping them.
I was.
I'm just teasing you.
My vision is not that good. I can't.
So you were up close. You're like, what are you looking at? I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
In your bank balance. But it was a mix. It was a mix of people working and people on social media and other things,
Right.
So it was a total mix.
So it's really, you've really touched on something, and I love how our conversation's gone very, very down an organic path here, but that's what I want to do with Poplar. So something happened, in my opinion, 20 years ago. Television said goodbye a little bit to, like, do you remember back A Channel? In Manitoba, it used to be called MTN, and then it became A Channel. But what happened was those types of television networks did all of the local kind of video commercial advertising. So you'd have, like, the guy selling couches or the car sales or the realtor or whatever, but it was local, or it was a little bit regional, provincial. You get what I mean?
Yes.
Where is that? When you watch television now, which I still watch a lot of hockey, and sports, I guess, but outside of that, that's all the big guys like Hyundai and Coca-Cola, which is fine for them. But where is that? And I think Poplar Magazine can fill that gap. And I think that's what we want to do in the big picture of our advertising product to the people that want to be a part of the magazine. Is I can create that commercial for you in your shoe store or your coffee shop or your voice business. Right.
Well, I think there's great value. I know there's great value in being regionally focused because there's a gap there.
Yes,
exactly
huge.
The way that you're explaining it.
Yeah.
But, I have to, I seek out Alberta Report on TV. Like, what time is it on? It seems so old fashioned to do that, but,
right.
But I want to know, what are the issues that are facing our province right now?
That's
what's
cool.
happening in industry, what's happening in education, what's happening in politics. You have to kind of specifically seek it out. So I agree with you. There's great value in having something that's regionally focused. But the other side of it too is the businesses that are still with us, the bricks and mortar, that has changed as well.
Yes.
Coffee shops galore.
And how do they get out there?
Exactly.
Because everybody thinks they can make a Facebook post or two and their business is going to flourish. And that's changed.
Yeah.
Like it's not been like that for a long time. And, you look at things and I just go, like, I just referenced Hyundai and Pepsi and Coke and these giant mega companies, really. They still have ad spend. and everybody knows who they are. Walmart is still telling us who they are. And so many businesses in our province aren't telling anybody who they are. And I'm very confident that Poplar Magazine can help with that and can bring a very traditional approach with a modern flair. That's the idea. Well, I got to tell you, I said you and I would keep it to 10 minutes and we did not succeed, and that's okay. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on our first PoplarView, and I'm so thrilled that you're a part of the magazine. I'm so happy with the results of your voiceover in our first commercial, and I'd love to have you back on again, because I think that in this conversation something kind of cool's happened. We started to talk about very important Alberta things, and it's spurring a lot of ideas suddenly that I think we can talk about. So one last time, for anybody out there that is watching, wants to just engage Haeley, hit HaeleyPorter.com. Thank you so much for watching. Haeley, thank you so much for being on PoplarView, and we'll catch up with you all real soon.
That sounds great. Thanks so much for having me, Tim. It's been a pleasure.
Right on. Bye-bye.